Are you feeling prosperous? Laughter is prosperous. Joy is prosperous. Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. Prosperity is the gain or advance of anything desirable, desire of the Father. Unity speaks of prosperity as a state of consciousness. Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, wrote that in the beginning, God created primal substance, an infinite good that we are capable, as those that have dominion over all things, that we are capable of reaching up into this formless substance, this daily bread, that we shape and form in millions of different ways as our mind, our I am, takes hold of that divine substance and manifests it from the divine ideas, from God mind to our mind, into manifestation in our lives. I am reminded of the story of Whimpering Willie. This is shared by Reverend Martha Gadusi, a Unity minister. And she said that Willie was sharing with a friend that he kept doing everything he knew how to do to manifest prosperity. He said, I'm going through the whole alphabet. I've asked for prosperity. I've begged for prosperity. I've cried for prosperity. And his friend said, well, have you worked for prosperity? He said, no, I haven't gotten to W yet. So, working, is it such that we are to toil and sweat for our prosperity? Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And he is our way shower. How do we get to that? Well, we can begin with counting our blessings, right? And the blessing that we can start with is you. You are a blessing to the world. Whatever that work that you are doing is, you are contributing to society to make this world better. And the evidence of that is you get paid for it. You get valued for that. Or the value of your work. Let me correct that. You are valuable because you are. But the value of your work is often recognized through pay. Even more so, we honor those that volunteer, of course. But whatever it is that your work is, you are contributing to the prosperity of the world. And Jesus says in Affirming that we get into the law of circulation. Our work is a way in which we give to the world. And Jesus says, in case we ever doubt that law of circulation or that he put it out there for us, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so we get into that place of realizing our prosperity. And in doing so, we bring more of that into our lives. I can tell you, if you pray for $1 million, you're not going to go home and find $1 million sitting on your bed. It doesn't work like that. But what God will give you is divine ideas in order to manifest that prosperity. You know, there's a support group for lottery winners. I believe that sometimes people's consciousness has to catch up with those riches. And we know that sometimes within a few years, all of that money is gone. Prosperity is a state of consciousness. But don't ever be concerned that you shouldn't pray for money. Or don't ever be concerned about praying for it. Because if you don't, you may get everything else that you like. Perhaps it's a new home, a new car, furnishings, a loved one. If you don't allow for money, you may find yourself in debt with that new house or new car. And debt can lead to stress, and stress can lead to what we don't want in our lives. But of course, we always have some of that, do we not? I think of Myrtle Fillmore, who, suffering from tuberculosis, she heard a message when she went to a talk by E.B. Weeks, and we don't know exactly what he said, but upon leaving, she shared with Charles that what she heard was, as a child of God, I do not inherit illness. Even though in her physical form, she was beginning to display the symptoms of tuberculosis. I think about that every time Myrtle coughed, a symptom of tuberculosis, or felt that fatigue or fever, that she was reminded, as we can be reminded, anytime a hurricane is heading our way, or we meet with some calamity. You know, Friday night, all afternoon, I was hearing about Harvey being a Category 3 storm. By the time I was ready to turn off my phone and go to sleep, it had been upgraded to a Category 4. And although it looked like it was heading for Texas, people were saying could end up going back out into the Gulf, coming over to Louisiana, but wherever it went in, we never pray that it goes somewhere else and not to us. What I prayed is, let it weaken. We can pray, right? Sometimes for less of something. So I was praying for less winds, and I thought, you know, that part of me that is the doubting Thomas, oh yeah, like I can affect this hurricane. But if we pray earnestly, we are never at a loss, because we go to that place where we know our oneness with Spirit. It's a great place to be. And I prayed, I said, let it weaken, let a miracle happen. And I woke up and turned the phone on before I even took my head off the pillow, and I heard that Harvey had been downgraded to a Category 1 storm. I'm like, yes, this stuff works. Now, my husband reminded me that when it gets over land, it always does that. But I say, not necessarily always. You know, and anyway, the true wonder and good news was, as it was dissipating over land, it was a lot less likely to head out as a formed system into the Gulf. So praying that it go back into formlessness was what I did, and it worked. I read in the paper yesterday, Eat, Pray, Live, there was an article on a woman named Robin that loves cupcakes. And she was listening to a sermon at her church one day. She's telling this in the paper. And the pastor was saying that what you're doing now may not be what you would love to be doing. Maybe God is calling you to something else. And she decided to go out on a limb and open this cupcake junkie shop. That's the name of her shop. And I went there yesterday to bring her one of my friend Jan, Ken's wife. Jan makes these wonderful, wonderful, healthy cupcakes. And I went in and I said, do you have anything healthy in the way of muffins or cupcakes? And no. So I said, here, take this, try it. I bet your business will increase. So divine ideas may be coming together. I don't know if anything will come of that. She had a good business yesterday. And then I read about another gentleman whose dream was to send money. He's an engineer from West Africa. And he said when he was about 17, he had this idea, shared with a friend in a very poor village in Africa, that he was going to be an engineer. And it came to him, the United States of America. He said he had never thought of America before. Imagine that. It seems strange to me, but could we really be that small in some people's eyes? Anyway, it came to him. And he recently moved out of the Baton Rouge area, but he appeared in the paper. I want to say his name was Grisham. And he is sending money back to West Africa to award to students who are excelling, that they might come to America to be educated and have a brighter future. Divine ideas that come out of what Charles Fillmore called the ethers, out of that ever-present, invisible substance of good that we believe in. And that in our consciousness, anything we see in this manifest realm was an idea in mind, right? These plates, this box, this candle was first an idea in someone's mind before it became manifest. So, have you ever known people that no matter what is happening in their life, they feel positive about it? I shared some of that last Sunday about Amber that lost everything in the flood, and her rebuilding, she says, her home is better than it was before the flood. And I have known people like that, many people, yes. They're inspirational. And then there are people that, no matter what happens, they seem to be drawn to a negative place. That's going to happen to all of us. Let it be the reminder. Let it be the reminder that all the good that could possibly ever be used by us is available to us, and it all starts in consciousness. And again, what do we have to lose if we go to that highest place? We may have to exercise more patience than we would like to exercise. We've all heard that in God's time, not my time. But I say that any situation that we are given, we are capable. That is our mission statement here. In following, practicing, and experiencing the transformational teachings of Jesus Christ through love and compassion for all, that we can change our world. So, affirming prosperity. Will you do a little bit of what we do, what we're all about? Affirmative prayer. Our fourth unity principle is that affirmative prayer and meditation is the highest form of consciousness. Now that comes right after the third principle, the short version of which is thoughts held in mind, produced after their kind. Thoughts held in mind, produced after their kind. And unity does not say that we are responsible for the conditions of our life. Take Hurricane Harvey, for instance. We didn't do anything to cause that, but we are responsible for our experience of life. And that's what we're capable of changing. And one way that we do that, a most important way, is through affirmative prayer and meditation. So if you would join me in a couple of these affirmations, I would very much appreciate. So one is, it is my Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom of good. Can we say that together? It is my Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom of good. And again, it is my Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom of good. And once more with feeling, it is my Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom of good. We say it 3 times for a reason. First is in that realm, that highest realm called the kingdom or heaven, where divine substance exists. And then we say it into that realm of thought, that realm where we lay hold of divine mind to express these divine ideas in thought, and then expression into the world. So we say it 3 times to get it and to express it on these 3 levels. Another affirmation, loving giving leads to prosperous living. Loving giving leads to prosperous living. And again, loving giving leads to prosperous living. And one more, loving giving leads to prosperous living. Yes, it does. And I want us to remember, again, I say that this doesn't mean that we can never go out of this place of positivity or prosperity, but it can be transformed into that which reminds us that we have soul, a choice, right? Soul is pivotal, can always turn to spirit or can turn to the material world. So we do take the opportunity of whatever comes up in our thinking as what is not conducive to health, to prosperity, to wellness of mind and body. We take that as a reminder that this all good is always available to us. We are co-creators. We are at cause. As God is cause in our lives, we are co-cause with God. All that we see is effect. Again, the manifest form is the result or the effect of cause. So we are called in unity to be cause with God. God needs us as much as we need God. Spirit working in us, as us, through us. We're spiritual geniuses. You know, remember the genie, the story of the genie? You know that the genie's spirit, think about it, you know, the genie comes out of the lamp, and the plural of genie is genius. So we have that spiritual genius to manifest whatever it is, whatever good we want, is coming to us, through us, from within us. So, last affirmation, I promise. Can you join with me in saying, I am a spiritual genius.
I am a spiritual genius.
My good comes to me, through me, from within me. My good comes to me, through me, from within me. I am a spiritual genius.
I am a spiritual genius.
My good comes to me, through me, from within me. And one more time with feeling. I am a spiritual genius. My good comes to me, through me, from within me. So it's good to have some of those affirmations at hand to remind us when we are in that place, which we all sometimes get to, and I believe we come here to remind each other that there's another place to get to on Sunday morning, to remind each other of the good that is present, of the Christ that is our hope of glory, as the Christ that is in each one of us. We come together to remind each other of that truth. The Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. Namaste.
Namaste.